The rain hammered against the frosted glass of my office window, a relentless rhythm mirroring the ache behind my eyes. It was a Tuesday night, and Tuesdays were always the worst. They brought the kind of desperation that come to a man like cheap cologne. My name's Jack Rourke, and I'm a private investigator. Some folks call me a gumshoe. I'd prefer Rourke. Sounds tougher. The door creaked open and a woman walked in. She was a knockout, dark hair, emerald eyes, and a dress that barely contained her curves. The kind of woman who could make a saint forget his vows, or a detective forget to keep his wallet in his back pocket. Mr. Rourke. Her voice was low, smoky, like a forgotten jazz club. "That's me," I said, gesturing to the chair opposite my desk. "You must be Mrs. Lila Vance." She nodded, settling into the chair with a grace that belied her obvious distress. "My husband, Arthur, is missing." Arthur Vance was a name that rang a bell. Vance Industries. Manufacturing. Money. Trouble. "When did you last see him?" 3 nights ago. He said he had a late meeting downtown. He never came home. "Did he mention who he was meeting with?" She hesitated, twisting a silver bracelet around her wrist. "No, he didn't like talking about his business. That was a red flag the size of a battleship." "Did he have any enemies, Mrs. Vance? Anyone who might want to harm him?" She bit her lip. "Arthur, he was a complicated man, Mr. Rourke. He made enemies. In business. In other circles." I scribbled a note in my pad. "And these other circles?" "Let's just say he had interests beyond the boardroom." Her eyes darted around the room as if expecting someone to be listening. "Gambling. Certain associates." I leaned back in my chair. This was getting interesting. "I'm guessing Mr. Vance wasn't exactly a choir boy." "No, Mr. Rourke, he wasn't. My fee was $10 a day, plus expenses. Mrs. Vance wrote me a check for $50 up front. It smelled like money. And danger. My investigation started at Vance Industries, a hulking monolith of steel and glass. It dominated the city skyline. I spoke with Vance's secretary, a nervous young woman named Miss Davies. She claimed to know nothing about Vance's disappearance, but I saw the flicker of fear in her eyes. Everyone was hiding something. Mr. Vance was a demanding man, Miss Davies whispered, her voice barely audible. He had a lot of pressure on him lately. A big deal falling apart. A lot of money at stake. The big deal turned out to be a contract with the city for a new munitions factory. It was worth millions, and Vance was facing competition from a ruthless businessman named Victor Marvel. Marvel had a reputation for playing dirty, and I had a feeling he was involved in Vance's disappearance. My next stop was Marvel's office. He was a mountain of a man, with a face like granite and eyes that could bore through steel. He denied any involvement in Vance's disappearance, but I didn't believe a word he said. Vance was a competitive, Martel growled, his voice like gravel. "But I wouldn't resort to violence. That's bad for business." I left Marvel's office feeling like I needed a drink. The rain was still falling, and the city felt colder than usual. I needed to find the lead, something to break the case open. I decided to revisit Mrs. Vance. Maybe she was holding back something. Maybe she knew more than she was letting on. When I arrived at the Vance mansion, a sprawling estate on the outskirts of the city, I was greeted by a uniformed butler. He led me to the drawing room, where Mrs. Vance was waiting. "Mr. Rourke," she said, her voice strained. I need to tell you something." She took a deep breath. Arthur, he was involved with someone else. A dame, of course. It was always a dame. Her name is Lila Monroe, Mrs. Vance continued. "She's a singer at the Blue Moon Club." The Blue Moon Club. A notorious nightclub known for its illicit gambling and shady clientele. It was a den of vipers. I found Lila Monroe on stage, bathed in smoky blue light. She was a knockout, even more dazzling than Mrs. Vance. Her voice was sultry and hypnotic, and the audience was captivated. After her set, I approached her. "Miss Monroe?" She turned, her eyes cool and assessing. "Who's asking?" "Jack Rourke. I'm looking for Arthur Vance." Her expression didn't change. "I haven't seen him." "Don't lie to me, Miss Monroe. I know he was seeing you." She sighed, the facade cracking. Arthur was a generous man. He was also a married man. He promised me. She stopped, biting her lip. "He promised me a life." "And what about his wife? Did he promise her a life too?" "He said he would leave her. He just needed time." "And what were you supposed to do in the meantime?" She turned away, unable to meet my gaze. "I don't know. I decided to dig a little deeper. I knew Lila wasn't telling me everything. I questioned the club owner, a brewery man named Sal DeMarco. He claimed to know nothing about Vance or his relationship with Lila, but I saw the sweat beading on his forehead, the tremor in his hands. He was lying. I decided to pay Sal a little visit later that night. I found him counting money in his office. I didn't bother with pleasantries. Where is he, Sal? He looked up, startled. Who are you talking about? Arthur Vance. Where is he? Sal tried to bluff, but I wasn't buying it. I leaned in close, my voice low and menacing. Tell me, Sal, or you're going to regret it. He cracked. He confessed that Vance had been gambling heavily at a private poker game held in an abandoned warehouse down by the docks. He owed a significant amount of money to a notorious gangster named the Serpent. The Serpent, another name that sent a chill down my spine. He was a ruthless killer, and he didn't take kindly to unpaid debts. I headed to the warehouse. The rain had intensified, and the docks were shrouded in darkness. I found Vance tied to a chair, beaten and bruised. The Serpent was standing over him, a cold smile on his face. You're late, Rourke, the Serpent sneered. Let him go, Serpent, I said, drawing my pistol. Not until you pay his debt. I don't have his money. Then he stays. A tense standoff ensued. The quick-thinking maneuver allowed me to disarm the Serpent, freeing Vance. A struggle ensued, and Vance, fueled by adrenaline and fear, managed to knock the Serpent unconscious. As the police arrived, Vance looked at me, a mixture of gratitude and shame in his eyes. Why did you do it, Rourke? You're a married man, Vance. You made a mess. I just cleaned it up. Mrs. Vance arrived, her face a mask of relief and anger. Arthur, you're alive? She didn't acknowledge my presence. I didn't expect her to. I watched them embrace, then turned and walked away, disappearing into the rain. Another case closed. Another mess cleaned up. Another reminder that in this city, everyone has secrets. And some secrets were badly left buried. I had a feeling Lila Monroe's secrets were just beginning to surface, and I had a strong hunch that the Serpent wouldn't stay unconscious for long.